Welcome to the Dead Knitter Society YouTube channel. This is the Knitting and Grieving podcast. My name is Mira. Welcome to episode 7, in which it's becoming really apparent to me that maybe I need to get a mic or something, because when I listen back to the recordings, you can really hear the jangling of my pets. And I'm not sure if you can hear the chirping of Miss Chirpykins, but anyway, hi, happy New Year's Eve. It is New Year's Eve here where I am. Maybe where you are, it's already 2025. I will definitely be taking advantage of the fact that time is made up by clinking some bubbly when it's midnight somewhere over the mid-Atlantic, because your girl has to get up real early in the morning. So I am not making it. Oh, there's a little appearance of Miss Cat. That's Margot with a little black nose, and Hemingway is elsewhere. Anyway, so let's get to it. All right, this was what I wore today. This is my Rebel shawl by Knit Graffiti, Leslie Ann Robinson, Brioche Queen. I knit this, I cast it on late December of 2018 and finished it in February of 2019, just like the Osiris shawl that I showed you in episode 6. This is knit, the main color is Malabrigo Makita, which is fingering weight. Take one skein of each main color, contrast color, fingering weight yarn. Larger skeins, I do remember like playing some yarn chicken. So I think the skeins were like 463 yards to 100 gram skein. And then the contrast color is my favorite Campfire Knits Backcountry in the Teton colorway. Excuse me. One of these days I'm going to show you my National Parks Fading Point, which is made, she did a whole color adventure of national parks, and I love it so much. So yes, this was kind of one of the first more advanced looking projects that I tackled. I will say brioche patterns look intimidating. You just need to follow them word for word. Don't think, just do. Be Yoda. If I haven't put that in here, Rebel is inspired by Princess Leia from the Star Wars universe. A lot of Leslie's shawl patterns are inspired by the strong women in that universe, and I love that. But yeah, this definitely has a lot of visual impact. If you can knit and you can purl, you can move the yarn front and back, slip stitch, you can do brioche. It's like, that's what I love about knitting, is if you can knit and purl, you can literally do anything. You can make magic. This is all loops. There's nothing permanent about it, which is magical to me. That's why, I don't know, I feel emboldened and like the director of the universe, because if I can knit and purl, I can make anything I want, which is pretty cool. So this is my Rebel shawl. I love it. This is one of my favorite, most worn pieces for sure. Moving on. That was what Mira wore today. This is the Lucia piece. So yesterday at work, I actually wore the sweater I showed you in episode 6. It was super comfortable. I felt like I was wearing a hug from my mom. So I'm really glad that I did try it on and that it fit. It was a little bit longer than I like to wear my sweaters, but honestly, I did not care. So I look like I had a trunk butt, whatever. So this one, I have no idea when she knit this. Late 90s, maybe. It's definitely feels cottony. So much of her stuff was cotton because she really wanted to be able to wash her knits. That was important to her because she was running around after us. Ooh, I just found something I need to repair. Okay, I'm not going to wear this until I repair it. There's a wee snag, a hole in there. I don't know if you can. Yep, but that's okay. That will be easy enough to fix. What I like about this, it looks like she knit it from the bottom up in the round and then separated for the sleeves, and there's some seaming up here. And then looks like she knit the sleeves and then sewed them on, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. I really want to figure out how to read her knitting. But I like that she let this boucle really kind of shine. And just did like, this is a garter stitch band here, and then ribbing over the saddle of the shoulder, So it's really simple, but it has that nice like visual impact detail to it. It's really beautiful. So once I repair that little hole, I think I might put that into rotation for me too, because it's such a nice open gauge that it's really lovely. All right, moving on. I want to post this tonight, so here we are. Because I have some big feelings about New Year's Eve that we're going to talk about. But one of those big feelings is that I really think I will have this sweater off the needles. If not tonight, because I don't want to stay up late, definitely tomorrow. I am at decrease 8 of 10. And then I just have to do the cuff, which is that detail. I don't know if you can see it. But it's just a repeat of the sizzle pop, which is on the yoke of the sweater. When I did try this on last night with a completed sleeve, having the completed sleeve kind of Pooh Beared the body of the sweater. I'm wishing that I had knit maybe another inch. However, when I steam blocked the yoke to just double check my gauge, because you know how I feel about gauge swatches, shh, don't tell the knitting gods. I make my own rules. This will grow. So I'm going to count on it growing, and I'm also going to kind of aggressively block some length into the body. The sleeves are a perfect length. I don't know. It'll be fine. It's going to be beautiful, but I'm like here. That is like a very doable amount of knitting. So this is going to be a finished object that I will be showing you in our next episode, and I am so excited about it. I can hardly contain myself. The other thing that I put together for some purse knitting, because that is getting really large to carry around now and have quietly at a table, you know, when I stop at a coffee shop, you know, in between appointments at work. I've been doing my very first swatch for the Patty Lyons knitting tool book of tricks, the knitting bag of tricks. Oof. The official workbook, tool book, whatever. So this first swatch, super basic. She even said it in the introduction, like start at the beginning. It's a very good place to start, just like The Sound of Music. And I've already learned something about my knitting, and I'm not even halfway done with this initial swatch. If you look, so these two sections are garter stitch. However, this section of garter stitch, these 8 rows, are knit each row. This one up here is purl each row. I just learned that my purl is way looser than my knit, but somehow I don't row out on stockinette. I'm really tempted to actually do a combination knitting. This was just straight purl on the wrong side. And I'm gonna do one where I do the twisted purl and then resolve it as I knit because, hey, dingo. Because I want to see if there's a difference in my stockinette when I do that. I've never really noticed that I purl or that I row out, which is when your purls are much looser, and so it creates like a variation in your stockinette that looks irregular. I've never really noticed that, but also I go to great lengths to not purl. I don't like purling. It doesn't feel comfortable to me. I knit in the round wherever I can, like so much, because I really prefer knit stitch. Now, that all being said, like the two sides of my brain, kitty visitor, two sides of my brain are like, steeking is terrifying, but if you steek, you can make colorwork cardigans without having to purl. But I also just grabbed I think it's the Throwback Cardigan by Andrea Mowry, because I had been pre-pandemic trying, or maybe it was my pandemic knit, and then my brain fried and I started making soap and sourdough instead. I don't know. There were no rules. So I have the throw over, which is in the round version of that cardigan. And that pattern is knit and then purl. So I'm committing to doing some purling if I want to make that cardigan, but I kind of really want to make that cardigan instead of the pullover. I don't know yet. We'll see. But anyway, I'm enjoying this little learning experience. The next thing I want to show you, for 2025, I gifted myself a monthly sock yarn subscription. Now it's actually, if I had read the instructions more carefully, perhaps a sock club, like make socks with your sock yarn. It is through the Farmer's Daughters Fiber, which is kind of like It Girl yarn, if you ask me. A lot of like big name designers collaborate with this yarn company. And I love supporting them. It's American wool, indigenous, woman owned. Like, I want to support these small businesses. The yarn is spectacular. It's spectacular. I wish there was touch-o-vision. Like, it's squishy. The colors are spectacular. I did end up getting 2 units of each, not really realizing that the point is to knit socks every month. But I don't know if I want to knit socks every month. I'm looking at this and being like, this would be an adorable t-shirt with using this color as like a neckband and maybe either stripes on the sleeves or some kind of like little color work detail at the hem. I don't know, but I was looking at this and being like, I want to play. So I don't know yet. I might for the first month. One of the pattern suggestions in this adorable little journal that you get is, that's February. You get pattern ideas. And one of them is a free pattern for like a really nice basic. I haven't knit socks in years. So maybe this would be enough to make a really beautiful shawl, like a one skein shawl, because it is quite a bit of yardage. It's 437 yards. I can definitely find a pattern. And then plus you have probably about 100 yards of this, maybe less. I don't know. Anyway, part of me kind of wants to make at least one set of socks, but I may also decide to do something different. But I have like a lot of knitting plans. I have to work on the pillow for my nephew. That's a hard one. And then we're still going to go through those whips, y'all. We're going to look at them. But I'm already thinking about next projects, whether it's something I design myself or not. I do want to steek something this year. I'm not sure it's going to be a full sweater, but I want to learn how to steek. So I've been looking at some various patterns on the Craftsy platform. She has like a French press koozie that's steeked, and then you put buttons in. That could be, I want to learn how to do it. I want to do something that scares me. Mom was so prolific and so fearless in her knitting, and that's the energy that I want to bring into 2025. We're also gonna, tomorrow I'll be starting to read the January chapter and starting in on my soft-boiled egg sweater. But speaking of bringing things into 2025, here's the grieving part of the podcast. I am so struggling with the implication of existing in a whole year that my mom won't. Like, it feels really big. It feels really big. And it feels a little bit like, mom died late at night, and the next day, there's that kind of like, it was so expected, but there was shock and awe. I was not prepared. And sunset of that day, I could not wrap my head around the fact that my mom was not going to see that sunset. And it feels a little bit like that, where in my brain, I have never existed in a year that my mother has not. Which seems obvious because she's dead. Grief is weird. So if you have come here by way of grief, please sit down with me and share in the things that should make sense don't make sense. And that feeling of, wanting to clear the window and be able to see a world that is familiar and makes sense. And I am still kind of in that feeling where nothing really makes sense. The world as I knew it is so altered without her. So, that's a tough one for me on this New Year's Eve. I can smell it in the crock pot, and I will put a picture of it here. I made Mom always made lentil soup like in a pot on the stove, but I was in the office today, so I have a pot of her lentil soup that she made every year for New Year's Eve so that you'd eat the lentils. It's, you know, for prosperity in Italy. So there's that little homage to Mom. That's how I'm bringing her with me for the new year, among many, many other ways. So definitely, I'm curious in the comments if there are things that you do for your New Year's Eve celebrations. Like, do you have traditions? Are there particular foods that you eat for luck, for prosperity, for health? What are you up to? Share with me. Let me know. I also just wanted to say that I have seen some new subscribers. Thank you so much for being here, and people commenting. Commenting on a stranger's video on the internet is really brave, and I cherish your comments so much. So thank you, and keep them coming. And I'm hoping that this, you know, turns into a place where people can talk about their loved ones and about what they love to do and about making and creativity and living expansively and honoring the people that aren't with us anymore. Yeah. So with all of that said, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for listening. If I haven't said it yet this episode, and shame on me if I haven't, like, subscribe, hit the alarm button so that you know when I post again. And pretty soon we're going to start seeing some almanac project posts, which I think are going to go into a different playlist. And I might start putting some of the not mom knitting stuff into other places, but it might just stay there because we are going to bring Mom's spirit of knitting into my hands in 2025. All right. I read this somewhere and I loved it, particularly for those of you who are grieving and moving into a new year without your loved one, no matter how long it's been. May the love that you shared rest gently on your broken heart. I liked that. Not mine. I read it. But whatever you do, happy New Year's Eve. Happy New Year. Stay safe. Go love people. And I will see you next time.